Hey, welcome back to Respect Her Game. Before we get to the WNBA All-Star Game and all the things that you need to know for that, we're going to get into our YouTube mailbag. So we'll start out with Pocket Nunu, I think his username is. People cheered when Sophie did the headlock. Fever plus Clark fans were so glad someone accomplished this. It was pent-up revenge for all the wrong fouls and the not called fouls on Clark. Sophie was Enforcer of the Year. All right. I definitely can agree with the Enforcer of the Year after that headlock situation. But yeah, Kasey, what are you thinking here?
I think a lot of Fever fans were excited to see this because more specifically to the fact of like uncalled fouls, just a number of moments. You and I talked about it seems like Caitlin Clark kind of has this moving target on her back, you know? So like maybe emphasis on maybe, the Fever winning without Caitlin Clark, they can realize that this Fever team is talented as a whole. It doesn't take away from how talented and what Caitlin Clark does specifically, but it's very obvious that there's a bit of a hyper focus when it comes to playing the Fever, and it all lands on Clark. So I'm sure a number of fans feel this way.
Definitely. I think that heated game will never go away. I think that's going to be something that people are talking about for a long time. And let's talk about it more with Dennis O'Brien, 4253. He says, I've been a hockey fan all my life and became a basketball fan because of Caitlin Clark. The move by Mabry in hockey would be a charging penalty and considered intent to injure. The Fever need to learn the meaning of the code that exists in hockey, especially with regard to protecting the star player. Take run at our woman and you will pay. Take run at our woman and you will pay. That was an intense statement there. But yeah, like really the intent there was to injure. It was to get up in Caitlin Clark's face, and she literally dropped her. He literally dropped her. The play was over. The whistle had blown. This wasn't like an in-game play that someone could say, oh, I was going for the puck or I was going for the ball. Like, no, that was not the situation.
Yeah, like honestly, shout out to the hockey fan, of course. Like in this case, when you're talking about it from like a puck battle perspective, it's almost like a lot of things are fair game until it goes too far. And too far in hockey, the line's a little blurry. But for basketball, like you said, whistle blown, play done with. You're not battling it out for possession, you're not battling it out for the ball. So like all of this is just extra antics on the back end, and if you want to be extra on your end, guess what, we can be extra on our end, and we can roll in the enforcer. Exactly, we can roll in the enforcer to level the playing field. So I love the hockey reference, but it's true, it's almost getting to a point where you almost need a responder on the team, and I feel like Cunningham's kind of taking that on as like, hey, I'm here to respond if you guys want me to. I can put up the necessary points, I can play the necessary defense, but like I'm happy to drop the gloves.
Totally, especially if it comes with over like 1 million social media followers, new social media followers.
Like what kind of sponsorships do you think you get after that?
Like it's Title Boxing membership for life.
Say Title Boxing.
Like I don't know. I mean, we got one right down the street here.
Exactly.
In Watertown, so
we'll check it out.
Yeah, maybe she'll come to the Boston expansion team, and then she'll get to fight there. But we'll get one last mailbag here at Good Life Breeze. This person says, lies, all caps. There's no such thing as the Clark rule. CC is not, all caps, a threat in the league. Minnesota and Atlanta is.
What?
So, listen, Minnesota, they've been playing great, but I definitely think you can't compare a player to a full team.
No.
I don't like that comparison that much, but yeah, I mean, she's definitely a threat to the league. And it's
pretty outlandish to say Caitlin Clark is not a threat. Like, if she wasn't a threat, we wouldn't be talking about the antics. We wouldn't be talking about the plays that continue after the play. And realistically, give credit where credit is due. Minnesota is a force to be reckoned with. I've said it 100 times here. I support Minnesota in a lot of ways. Atlanta, we'll talk about that another time. But the Fever, what they did after the Olympic break, they were not supposed to be a team that made any sort of splash last year, and they made other quality teams uncomfortable because of how they started to piece together plays. Then enters this WNBA season. They got off to a pretty decent start, one would say. Yeah, they're 9-9 on the record board, but they're still trying to adjust around their all-star so that everything doesn't come down to Caitlin Clark, which null and voids Caitlin Clark not being a threat.
Right. And she's one of the women that will be team captains drafting this WNBA All-Star team. So definitely a threat. So let's get to that. The WNBA All-Star Draft is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And kicking us off will be the team captains, Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier, who will pick live on ESPN. I'm so excited for this. I've never actually watched it before. And there will be no conference restrictions. So that means that players from the same WNBA team or conference can be dispersed across different teams. And there's really a ton of hype for who's going to get picked first, who's going to pick last, even though they do have the starter pool and they do have the reserve pool. And I think what'll be fun, too, is to see these two head coaches that went up against each other in the WNBA finals, Cheryl Reeve and New York Liberty coach Sandra Bordello, go up against each other. competing with Team Clark and Team Collier. So lots of rivalries here, but I think in the All-Star games, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be lighthearted. You're supposed to entertain the fans, right? That's really what it is. Yep. These women play so much, and so probably the last thing they want to do is play in a game that doesn't mean anything competing-wise. But there's a skills challenge. You got the skills challenge on Friday. They got the three-point contest, same on Friday, and then Saturday is the game, and it'll be 10-minute quarters. I'm most excited for the players to be mic'd up and hear those in-game interviews, because I know we get the coaches in-game interviews during the regular WNBA season, but I think it'll be a little bit different with the players. But I think a lot of people are saying, I'm confused. Why does Caitlin Clark have such a position that she did? Because she's been out, right? She's been healthy, been non-healthy, on and off the court. But I'm not shocked at all that she's gotten this title. Are you shocked at all?
No, I'm not shocked at all, because it's everything that we've been saying. She is clearly a very talented player. I think something else that she did very well was to not only rise to the expectation of her college career translating to the WNBA. I mean, she pretty much slam dunked that, not to be funny with words. And then the response to her previous injury earlier in the season, she comes back and has a hell of a game after that. So I think it's the leadership qualities. That's always going to give you an extra notch or step forward whenever you're in this sort of conversation. Nafisa Collier has been a leader for her team a number of ways. This team is starting to build around Caitlin Clark, this team being the Fever. So, you can't ignore that. And when you're talking about the top talent in the league, you're not taking away from the pillars of the WNBA, but she's changed the game on a number of levels and facets, the same way that we want to talk about Angel Reese. You know what I mean? So, you do have to give credit where credit is due. It doesn't surprise me. The injuries, you probably think to yourself, do you want to put her in that kind of position? But according to certain reports and stuff like that, she should be back this week. So if she's healthy and she is one of the many important faces of the WNBA, of course you're going to have her in this position.
Definitely. I think regardless, too, people will just be excited to see her there and to leading that group and to interacting with the other players, because they definitely want to see, hey, we see you guys go out on the court, but what are you actually like? But just looking at who these two women might draft, Collier and Clark, I'm going to go with a definite yes on Caitlin Clark drafting Aaliyah Boston. Teammates in Indiana. They're both young. They're both rookies of the year. They definitely have a great relationship. I feel like you can't not draft her if you're Caitlin Clark. So that's what I'm going to put my money in. But looking at just the starters and who potentially could get drafted, who do you think maybe Clark or Nafisa Collier might definitely pick?
I think I would love to see a moment where you have Caitlin Clark playing with Sabrina Ionescu, because we talk about Clark and some of the splashy threes that she throws down, but Ionescu, I mean, she's somebody else who's up there. She's had a single season record for how many 3-pointers that she's just made look so darn easy. So I feel like that would be fun. You kind of get a little bit of a Slash Bros translated into WNBA on the All-Star platform, court and level. So that's my only ask. Caitlin Clark, please link up with Sabrina.
That's Kasey's only ask. It's easy, but I love that. But looking at the skills competition, because the game is one thing, that's Saturday, but I think the skills competition does get a lot of hype. I would say the 3-point shot is definitely the one that you'd want to win, because that one lives forever, and it seems like that one gets the most hype. But if you had to compete right now, Kasey Hudson, and you had to compete in the skills competition, which one would you want to succeed at?
Oh my gosh, no pressure, huh? I feel like so much of the we're not worthy moments come from you being able to kill it with a 3-pointer.
Right.
I think it's so hard to veer away from the 3-pointer.
I think so too. I think, coaches around me the dribbling and the passing and those drills are important, but I'm going to go with the 3-point shot. I feel like that lives the longest. I feel like that's a little more of a feather in your cap. It does, because
sometimes the dribbling and the other things, you're pulling so many other aspects into it. What's your frame? What's your size? Are you lower body strong? Your center of gravity? Do you pull your competition to play your game? But that 3-pointer, it's consistency in your what's the word I'm looking for? In your technique, in your stroke, and to do that over and over and over again. Whew.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes even I was thinking about okay, who's going to win this 3-point shot competition? Sabrina Ionescu won it in 2023, but I'm pretty sure she deferred it last year in 2024 and didn't compete. So I'm interested to see, hey, will she actually compete this year? I think it's fun. Definitely stressful. You think, 3-pointers do that time, but there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of eyes on you. But also some of the best 3-point shooters in the game are different in a drill. Right?
So
in game and in drill situations, in all-star situations, those are very different. So I think it's interesting. I think if you had to put me up to it right now, I'd say I'd want to do the 3-point shot. Stakes are higher.
Yeah.
But that means that if I kill it, it'd be awesome. I think my best shot is a corner 3. Everywhere else, we'd have to work on. But in pig, don't ask me to shoot there because I will make it.
We know we're not allow AB on the court. I will be on the losing team of any of that in the basketball asset. I have foot-eye coordination and decent puck stick coordination.
Hey, we're on the skating lessons. That's important.